Alright friends, today we want to talk about income. Yesterday we talked about taxes and we made this cool flip book all about taxes. We found out that money that you pay to the government to get things that we can't afford by ourselves is called a tax. And we learned about lots of different kinds of taxes. The one we're going to focus in on today and pay attention to is this idea of payroll tax. If I open my flip book to payroll tax yesterday, we found out that when you make a paycheck, when you earn a check from your job, they give you some money, and some of the money that you earned gets taken away or it gets withheld from your check. We put in your notes that withholdings of a paycheck for federal income tax, Social Security, and Medicare tax are called the payroll tax. So we want to learn a little bit more about that today, a few more vocabulary words related to the idea of income and payroll taxes. On your title page of your new clean paper, I want you to just title it income because that's what we're talking about today. So please write income for a title. Income is just what it sounds like. It's money that comes into you. So we're going to put a little definition by the word. I'm going to put a $ for money coming in to you. Money that you gather in is your income. Some people earn an income from working at a job. Some people earn an income just by having a lot of money in the bank and the bank paying them to use their money. That's called interest. Some people make an income off of their winnings from being on TV shows or from winning a lottery. But the money that comes into you is called your income. So income is money coming into you. We want to draw a diagram today about some different kinds of income, some vocabulary related to income. We're going to draw first at the top of our paper a basketball. It's basketball season, so basketball is one image we could use to remember some of this vocabulary. A cool way to make it look like a basketball and not a volleyball or something else is to put two little lines sort of like you're making a baseball, and then give it a cross mark. Then it looks a little more like a basketball. Traditionally, basketballs are kind of brownish orange, so I'm going to add a little orange color to my ball real quick. If you have orange, use it. If not, you can go back and add color later. Sometimes basketballs are like red and white or different colors, but typically orange, so I'm going to go with that. We're going to call this basketball gross income. And when we say gross, we don't mean the kind of gross like you sneezed and got snot all over the table. Not that kind of gross. This word gross means something big. If you order something like a gross of cereal, you get like crates and crates and crates of cereal. If you Google or ask Siri or Cortana, they can tell you how much is in a gross. I don't know how many it is, but it's a big amount. And this income that the basketball represents is a big amount of income. So this is not gross like, oh, you're germy and dirty, that's so gross, or worms are gross, or something like that. This is gross like a lot, a big amount of income. What is the way that you score points with the basketball in a basketball game? How do you actually get the points, Anthony? You actually have to get it in the hoop. So we're going to next draw a hoop for our basketball. So you can join me in drawing a long skinny rectangle under your basketball. Give that a little shading. You probably didn't realize that we were going to be having art in Mrs. Cartwright's math class today, but we are. We're having a little how to draw a basketball scene lesson. When you finish shading your little rectangle, we're going to put some boundaries on our net. And we're going to give it a little zigzag on the bottom. And then to make it look real net-like, we're going to make some curved, rainbowish looking lines in our net. And then if you will put your pencil or pen tip at the top of your line and go the other way for each of those, it really looks like a real basketball net. So there we have it, a little basketball goal. When you earn money from your job and they agree to pay you a salary, the money the company says they'll pay you is your gross income. Teachers in Cypher School District who are brand new to teaching with a teaching degree, if they get hired by a principal, they get $50,000 for their gross income. The district pays new teachers $50,000 a year. So that's their gross income. And people who just got out of college and they've been working at McDonald's to put themselves through school, $50,000 sounds awesome. That's a lot of money. They're excited for the job, excited for that gross income. But Henry, something happens to the basketball when it falls through the net. Something happens to their gross income before they get their money. Some things that happen are Medicare money gets taken out and put in the bank. And Social Security money gets taken out and put in another bank. And payroll tax gets taken out and sent to the federal government, to the IRS. We learned about those yesterday. We learned that Medicare, Social Security are little bits of money that they take out of every check in order to save it for when you're sick or old and can't work anymore, so that you have a way to have food and medicine when you're sick or old. Those things together that pull money out of your paycheck together are known as something called deductions. Please join me in labeling those deductions. Deductions are the little things they take money out for. So we had a big amount of money. They take a little, take a little, take a little. And what we have left after the ball falls through the net is what we call our net income, which is why we use the image of the net in the first place. Your net income is the money that you can deposit in your bank account. And you could deposit that money to spend it or to save it. Some people spend, some people save, some people do a little bit of both. So you get gross income, the really big idea of what you think you're going to make. They take out some deductions, and then your net income is what you really get to spend or save. It's what you really get. Which of these do you think is always the biggest, Henry? Is the tax the biggest part? Exactly. Your gross income is the very biggest amount, always. The gross income is the biggest. If you want, you could label that biggest. When deductions happen, does that add to our money or subtract from our money? We might want to label those deductions subtract. That subtracts from our money. It takes away some of our money. So what is always the smaller amount of income?
It's always
The net income is always the smaller amount. So gross is always bigger, net income is always smaller, because when that income falls through the net of deductions, money is taken away every time. As fifth graders, you have to recognize terms like gross income, net income, and deductions. And today we're going to get to practice doing some calculations, adding and subtracting to find some of these missing pieces. Lily.
I remember in cheer, at cheer off, whenever, if somebody does a step wrong, you get a deduction, and it takes off.
So you've seen this word deduction when it means take off some points from your score with the judges. Very good connection. So it kind of means the same thing in gymnastics as it means or in cheerleading as it means in financial literacy. Deductions means some taken away. Good connection. Gavin.
I was watching at the train either when Robin had to deductions?
So if you keep on making deductions, eventually you don't have any money anymore. That's the end of your money if you keep subtracting off money. Grace?
So each time you get your paycheck, they take money out every time?
Yes, every time. Every time you get a paycheck, they start with what is your gross income. They take out a little money for all of these taxes, those income taxes, payroll taxes, and you end up with a little bit smaller amount called your net income.
What about like when you want to retire, do you also take out some money to fix your time?
Absolutely. That can be what it has to come from your net income, right? Once you get your income, then you can choose to spend it or you can choose to save it. Sometimes you can arrange with your employer so that some of that goes out automatically with these deductions. Sometimes people add in, also put some in my retirement account, something like an IRA or a 501k. There's different things they call saving for when you retire. Sometimes people elect to take some out because they want their own account. So sometimes in here, besides the government taxes, people might also have their own retirement savings, where it just automatically goes to a savings account. That way they're not tempted to spend it on other things like licorice at H-E-B grocery store. But retirement savings on your own isn't something that's required. These other deductions are required. You don't get a choice about them. Mary. Uh-huh. Yes. You do not get to decide how much Medicare or Social Security or payroll tax you pay. It's all preset. Like there are rules and charts and graphs and computer models that do that for the companies when they pay the employees. Or they have employees who know how to calculate those things and know how much to subtract. The government sets those amounts. People don't get to choose what they are. Henry.
Does the gross income throughout, like, is the gross income basically a check?
Yes.
And when you get does it so say if you are only working like 2 hours, do you get a smaller gross income?
Yes. If you only work a little bit of time and you're paid by the hour, you'd have a little bit of gross income. They'd take out a tiny bit of deductions, you'd have an even smaller net income. Like my son Michael is working at Whataburger, they pay him by the hour. So if he works many nights a week, he has a bigger paycheck. And if he works only one shift in the week, he has a very small paycheck. But no matter if his paycheck is big or small, there are some deductions. His net is always smaller than his gross income. That's always true. The more money you make, the more net income you make, right? Usually these are calculated as a percentage, so it's proportional. The amount that they take out for deductions is proportional with did you earn a lot or a little bit. I'm going to pause our video. Thank you for listening.